Hello and welcome to the Marketing Dribble podcast with myself, Rob Boyle, and my co-host, Johnny Kenyon. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, Rob. How you getting on?
Getting on very well. And since we last spoke, I think we've managed to achieve something, haven't we? What would that be, Johnny?
Oh, funny you say that. Post just arrived. How weird. From the Chad Institute of Marketing. What's this?
Yeah.
Oh, little Chad Institute of Chad Marketing certificate there. So, little... not humble brag, it was just happened to be next to me, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, as we just leave it right next to us all the time, yeah? So
yeah, I need to get framed or something, Rob? But...
We're both become chartered marketers, which is just rubber stamping hopefully our careers. So,
but enough about us, Rob. Why can't we talk about us too much today?
Because we have a special guest on a subject which I'm very interested in because I know nothing about. And who might that be, Johnny?
Today we've got Otso joining us to talk to us all about LinkedIn advertising. So Otso, welcome onto the show. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing great. I'm enjoying Finnish spring. Nice, lovely, +5 Celsius. Sun is shining. Life is good.
Yeah, we've not had too much sun here. It's just been tipping it down. We had another storm. We used to get like one storm a year. We get like 5 a week now. Kathleen or something this one rolled through, and I'm just over it. I'm ready for summer. So yeah, I'll take a 5 degrees. But let's get stuck in. So Otso, do you want to give a little brief introduction about yourself, and then we'll get stuck in with the questions and then grill you all about LinkedIn advertising. Looking forward to this one, aren't you, Rob?
I am indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Otso Karvinen. I'm a digital marketing strategist now, working for a company called Guru, digital marketing agency based here in Helsinki, Finland. I've been working with digital marketing for roughly 10 years now, working everything. Started as a freelancer, then worked as a marketing manager, digital marketing campaign manager, and then project manager, and now as a senior digital marketing specialist and strategist. I actually started digital marketing like as a side hustle when I was in college or university, however you call it, and because it's kind of a funny story because I started digital marketing because I couldn't get any other job. I applied for like 50 to 100 jobs, like all kinds of kiosks and shops and like telecommunications and everything, and I couldn't get a job, and I was thinking like what can I do and what am I good at? And I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at English and I'm pretty good at writing, and like I started to do a little bit of copywriting and then moved on to advertising and then digital marketing, SEO, and the whole lot. I worked a lot with the early days of like Meta advertisement and Pinterest and Twitter, but now especially with LinkedIn. That's kind of my favorite go-to channel right now. And I work with B2C companies, but mostly with B2B companies on the agency side. So super happy to talk about LinkedIn advertisement and give I always think that I want to give all my best ideas away. I don't want to store any of my best ideas, all the best secrets. So all the best secrets are going to come out today from my LinkedIn knowledge.
That is what we like to hear, but save your very best tip for last because Rob's going to do his little golden nugget segment on it.
I will.
I'm surprised how many people we have on the show and they just say they fell into what they're currently doing by accident. Or not quite purposely set out to become digital marketers. So, it's
yeah. Well, I was the same. I was working for a company and they wanted to go online and they looked at me and I didn't have any experience and I just went and started doing it and grew from there. So that's 17 years ago now. So. And I've done a lot of Meta ads and I've done a lot of Google ads in my time. But I've never ever touched LinkedIn ads. I've never had come across the reason to actually do it. I think it's the main thing. So because it's not something you'd particularly do yourself, But so I thought the first question really is, talking to people about what are LinkedIn ads, who they're for. Do you need these massive budgets? I've heard that they're really expensive to do, and who can do it?
Yeah. Well, if I start with who is it for, of course, LinkedIn is like the diamond standard or the holy grail of B2B advertisement, especially. So I would say B2B companies, they should be on LinkedIn. Almost every single one should be on LinkedIn. I think it's getting popular across different kind of industries and different verticals when it comes to B2B. And it's kind of hard to find a group of professionals nowadays that isn't in LinkedIn. There are some examples, but of course, we should always follow where our customers are, and most kind of B2B customers are on LinkedIn. In my experience, I would say that the kind of best fit in LinkedIn advertisement is B2B companies that are selling something that is like over 10,000 euros, like average purchase price. Like, so nothing like your kind of professional services type of things that are cheaper. Maybe there you can find a spot there, but anything that is over 10,000 in AOV or annual recurring revenue, I think that's a pretty good standard. But you can find different strategies, like different companies, even smaller companies or companies who are working with smaller average purchase sizes can find the space there. It's just finding that strategy, and that kind of plays into the big budgets part, Rob, that you asked. Is I think that's quite a normal kind of thing. Is people think that LinkedIn advertisement is super expensive, and on the surface it is. Like CPCs are a lot more expensive than they are for Google, and they're a lot more expensive than they are for Meta. But when you go kind of lower into the funnel, down the funnel, all the way to the kind of closed won, that kind of deal, then you can actually see that actually LinkedIn can provide cheaper sales and cheaper customers than some other channels. So it's all about looking, all the way down to the funnel. I think that's the main thing. And I think one good example, kind of where you can get a lot of value out of LinkedIn without using a lot of budget, is using other channels as the main source of traffic and as the kind of main source of kind of quality traffic to the website, but then retargeting on LinkedIn with very specific like targeting criteria. So using this kind of 1-2 punch strategy, that's quite often that I recommend to smaller budget companies, is that they don't maybe have the budget to do LinkedIn as like a standalone full funnel campaign strategy, but they could utilize the retargeting there, because of course LinkedIn is like the minimum budget per campaign, which is basically an ad group. When it comes to LinkedIn, is 10 euros per day per campaign. So it gets pretty expensive pretty fast if you have like 15 campaigns running at the same time. So I think those are kind of the ballparks. It can fit anybody, but the bigger the average purchase size, the bigger the deal size overall it is, the better the channel normally becomes for the company.
So not so good for Rob selling those little fidget poppers that you wanted to peddle to everyone on LinkedIn.
No.
Getting in people's DMs and seeing if they want to buy them. So.
But actually, I think that's a really good point, because there are a lot of B2C examples of like B2C companies doing, but it's more so like the big ticket items like cars, for example, or expensive jewelry or expensive electronics, for example. Like you can find, because you can get some really, really detailed targeting options for high net worth individuals on LinkedIn. So you can find that as well, but not for those fidget poppers. Definitely.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, dear.
And you already answered my follow-up question, because I was going to say, like, how does this work sort of with other channels? Can you like layer it in? But obviously using that retargeting, you've already answered that. So reading my mind. So we're going to get onto some really good tips a little bit later. But I just kind of want to start with looking at sort of what are the sort of common pitfalls, or maybe people who are using the platform wrong, because as you've said, not everyone's familiar with it. It's big cost per clicks, so people can probably quite easily go wrong with it. They might have dabbled with it and just not got the return they wanted to see, but they've probably just made some really simple mistakes. Is there anything that you see that maybe people should be wary of?
100%. I think LinkedIn is quite an unforgiving channel in that sense. Is if you do mistakes when it comes to targeting, if you tick the wrong boxes, you can really kind of burn your budget without any response. I think the number one thing that I see going wrong with a lot of accounts that I'm kind of auditing or I get access to for the first time is they're ticking those machine learning boxes, like the audience expansion or maximizing delivery on LinkedIn. And that'll kind of destroy the targeting, and it'll also LinkedIn is especially brutal is if you use the maximum delivery, which is basically the setting that we use in Meta, or which what we use in Google, is that we want to maximize conversions or maximize conversion value. LinkedIn's maximum delivery will burn the budget every day, and it will get you 5 to 10 times less clicks than going with the manual click strategy. So right off the bat, everybody should use manual. There's some exceptions, like if you have good enough click-through rates, if you have good enough results, you can use that automation, but manual clicks, that's the way to go. Also, one thing that I see is way too broad audiences. Companies are targeting, like, I like the phrase TAM, so total addressable market. That's quite common in at least in like B2B and SaaS advertisement and SaaS marketing. Is like if the total addressable market for a company is, let's say, 1,000 companies in the UK, that shouldn't be more than like 10,000 people or 15,000 people or something like that. But they might be targeting 250,000 people or 300,000 people. So they're just burning money way outside of their kind of ideal market. So that's the thing. And then the flip side is two niche markets targeting like 300 people that some of them are not even on LinkedIn like regularly. So finding that right balance between the budget and the audience size. And then one thing is LinkedIn is one of the most powerful things in LinkedIn is targeting specific companies, because people have their company listed in their profile. Like, I'm working for Guru, and if somebody wants to target Guru, like specifically Guru as the potential customers, they can choose Guru in the targeting and target people working in that specific company. So that's something a lot of companies who are advertising in LinkedIn are not using, is that kind of specific company list targeting, for example. Retargeting was something that I mentioned. That should be done, like that's the number one thing to start doing on LinkedIn, is to utilize the retargeting, because it's such a powerful, how LinkedIn retargeting is kind of different from Meta or from Google is you can filter all of those ideal customer profile filters, like the company industry and job seniority and job title and tenure and company size and everything. So you can make sure that all of your retargeting is going to specifically those ones that you know are the ideal kind of buyers for your product or service. So I think that's one kind of powerful tool. And then last point on my short list is the not optimizing the campaigns during looking at analytics data, especially is looking at, okay, we're getting clicks and CTR is good and CPC is good and we see conversions happening, but what's happening on the website side? Like, how are they actually interacting? Because some companies, they might have, it might take 15 touch points for a lead to convert to a sale. So you have to rely on a lot of information outside of LinkedIn also to optimize.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Especially, obviously, B2B can have such long sales cycles as well, and you said, like so many different touch points. And I think the platform itself makes it quite easy with the metrics it presents, just to show this campaign's got a really, really good click-through rate above the average kind of thing, and people then lean on that and pump the money. And like you say, if you don't know what you're doing, it can quickly become a money machine. Even the audience, like you said, the expansion, or when you're layering all those different queries, there's this tiny little like and or thing as well. So if you do this or this or this or this, you suddenly have, like you say, 250,000 people just because you've not took this little box. So yeah, quite unforgiving, I think. I like that you said that, because it is. If you know how to use it, then great platform. But quite unforgiving.
I don't know if I want to go and learn how to use this now. It sounded too complicated, especially being a B2C marketer. I mean, you study in Meta, you got like top of the funnel, and you gather people, and you change your ads depending on retargeting. It looks like, and it's quite interesting what you're saying. A lot of it's like off the platform, analytics and the retargeting and things, not just on the platform itself, which is a little bit of a different mindset to some other advertising.
And I think. Yeah, and if I can kind of comment on that, I think that's the kind of key thing also, that a lot of marketers go wrong when they start to LinkedIn is they expect that kind of an immediate response that they're getting from Google search ads, especially because search ads is like intent based. Like there is some intent already and they have some kind of need already established. But LinkedIn is more for like a demand generating platform. It's like it's promoting your high quality information, like high quality content, and then generating that demand and keeping top of mind. And then it's also super important to have proper attribution available, because if then the person goes and searches for the brand on Google, and then the company's like, okay, Google search was the place where we got the lead from, but maybe 9 out of those 10 interactions have happened on LinkedIn. Like that's proper attribution comes kind of so important, is to actually understand where are we having those interactions with the potential customer, and then whatever is the last point of touch for the like closing that conversion doesn't necessarily be so important, or shouldn't be so important.
Yeah, and I think that links back nicely to your analytics sort of thing. It's amazing how many marketers don't even look at attribution modeling and what brought and it's just, oh well, that didn't work, but that did. But like you quite rightly say, they maybe started the journey on LinkedIn, but ended up on Google, and that's given all the credit. And
especially with a high definite platform, like you've really got to prove the value of that in the early days when you're testing, and just say, sure, it's not, it's generated a lower ROI than the channels, but look how much of an impact it's had down that entire funnel. So,
exactly.
Yeah, really, really good points there.
Exactly. And that's also one thing that I kind of give some little advice to some people starting with LinkedIn is try to start with the thing that generates the most immediate impact, so that you get the buy-in within the company to continue for the things that are actually generating the demand kind of further down the line. That's why the retargeting one is so kind of golden, because that's already using like established intent, like there's intent already around the service and the product, and then we are retargeting it. That can generate really immediate response, like immediate results, and that can give you the kind of buy-in in your company to then actually kind of expand the budget and start to go full funnel, because those things will not generate that immediate ROI. So I think that's one kind of sneaky way to get the buy-in from the company. Not sneaky, but kind of like a more strategic way to get the buy-in.
I love it, and I know you said, Johnny, leave the tips for later, but they were coming in. You'd already talked about the golden tip there. I've got the golden nugget tip. I think you may have already sort of answered that. But where do we go from there? But I think what would be interesting, certainly for someone like myself, to know about is, what sort of content makes really good ads, or, what content gets followed. You see lots of different things, and I don't analyse this, so it'd be really interesting in your perspective of what works in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a super interesting and super important question when it comes to LinkedIn, because it is a content delivery platform, and there's a lot of things. And if you think about the people who go into LinkedIn, they log in with the intent of kind of getting information and learning about kind of businesses and how to evolve as like individuals when it comes to business professionals, or how to kind of evolve the business. And I think it's all about offering value, like it is with any other channel. But I think in LinkedIn, it's more so about that. I think that's why kind of historically, like white papers and playbooks and stuff like that have been really successful with LinkedIn, because it's offering some kind of value. I think that is getting a lot like diluted a lot. Like now, to kind of succeed with your playbook or your white paper or your guide to do X, Y, and Z, that needs to be like mega high quality. And then people are transitioning to offering like complete like here's 55 point Google Ads optimization checklist that I've made, or a complete dashboard that you can copy, or something that's like actually super high value. They're offering that for free to get the foot in the door. So I think it's mostly about that. But it really depends on kind of what stage of the buyer's journey or what stage of awareness we are targeting, because then of course we need to talk about our service and our product. It's like, why is it better than the competitors, for example? Or I think customer like success stories are some of the most important and kind of successful ones, is talking about how our customers solved their issue with our product and so forth. And that's more so about the retargeting strategy also. It's like at what stage are we offering what content? I'm answering the question in a very broad sense. I think,
Yeah.
but
It'll differ like
yeah.
depending on the company and the product and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think the kind of one thing that is super like working really, really well are those thought leader ads. You probably, if you are on LinkedIn, you've seen them. But like, for example, I could write a post about like these are my top 10 tips on how to do LinkedIn advertisement, and then my company can promote my post as like a thought leader. Those are getting 3, 4, 5 times the click-through rates and like 5 times cheaper cost per leads and stuff like that, because it's right now I think there's a little bit of like an arbitrage. It's like it's so kind of novelty thing, and not a lot of people, not a lot of companies are using it right now. It's gonna get diluted like everything. Like we market is we destroy everything we touch. I think it's like all the channels, like everything will turn into a marketing feed. But I think that's one of the key things. But I think that kind of derives from the fact that there's more value in the individual's posts than they are on the companies. Like companies are oftentimes really boring, and they are kind of faceless, like senseless, touchless, smellless. So I think that's why those are working. So I keep telling some of my clients, like, just pick up the camera and on your phone and do like a talking head video about the product and try to be as authentic as possible. And oftentimes that actually works better than your high quality video ad production, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I see like Cognizant was a good example of a company that does that, and they reshare
Yes.
like this CMO talking about stuff, and they're kind of always posting that almost as staff content and resharing it, which seems like an odd kind of thing to do, I suppose, because it's almost like promoting the staff, but it totally makes sense what you were saying there. Like people buy from people, and it's putting that face to it, and it's probably almost adding like a layer of trust. It's like it's not just a logo telling me these things; it's a real person. So yeah, good. And I totally like what you're saying about different like retargeting, using retargeting to obviously show different content at different levels of the funnel, and whatever stage of intent they're at. You can let it up quite nicely with stuff like, I guess, like Gartner or like G2 reviews B2B companies might use.
Yes.
More expensive platforms as well. So it's kind of like using these two platforms together to kind of show the value across, as you've said, the whole funnel. So yeah, really
Exactly.
love everything you've said there. It's probably gone straight over Rob's
It's nice to hear. No,
like,
it's but I think it's so much about frequency. I think I've been kind of I think I've kind of seen the light when it comes to like understanding how important frequency actually is in, like, let's say like a couple of years ago, because we see that when we are getting like a sale, or a customer is getting like a closed one or a deal, there might be like they might have had like 15 touch points with marketing, or 20 touch points, or 25 touch points with marketing. So if we're only showing like one story or kind of one angle of our product once or twice to the customer, that doesn't cut it. There needs to be enough frequency, but it needs to be the right people, because then if you have super high frequency to the wrong people, you're again just burning money.
Exactly, and annoying people as well. And I actually looked into this stat recently. I think the number of touch points B2B has gone up from like 12 to 15 to like 17 to early 20s now as well. So it's going up and up and up, and people are spending more time online doing their research. So if you can present the right content at the right time, and that's where the power of this tool comes from. You know that they've come on your website and they've started looking at your pricing page. It's like, right, now's the time to prove that value. And so it can be a really, really good platform. It's not going to help Rob. Like, if you look just behind him, that's a cupboard filled with loom bands. He's not going to shift them. He's been trying 10 years. But, it's good for, I guess, yeah, as I say, if a company really wants to utilize it, this is such a powerful tool.
For sure.
Which leads us on. I know you've already given us, like, so many tips, but I was about to ask you, like, have you got any tips now? People are set up, they're using the platform. Like, how can they take their LinkedIn ads to the next level? Like, they know everything you've said so far is golden, but what's the like? How do they level up?
Yeah, I think if everything is running great on the LinkedIn side of things, I think the value a lot of the value comes from things like I mentioned outside of LinkedIn. Then is actually it's kind of a maybe this is kind of a silly thing to say, but I think it's more so like is the SEO side of your website doing everything right? Is your SEM side of doing everything right? Are you utilizing Meta as like a retargeting touch point and everything? Because it's more about how LinkedIn can be kind of welded into the whole marketing funnel is where the value comes from. Of course, there's always things to do better on LinkedIn. It's like testing different ad creatives and doing better ad creatives and so forth. But at some point, I think there's also like diminishing returns of trying to optimize it further. It's not a very complicated, even though maybe for Rob, you if you haven't kind of looked at the interface and if you go, it might sound, but there's really only like a couple of like things that you can get wrong, and other than that, it's kind of optimizing around that. So then it comes to the same thing as is in other channels now is how good is the audience quality that we are sending, the data that we are sending to LinkedIn. Like, are we utilizing? Well, of course, there's things like importing offline conversions from your like point of sale or CRM, especially is like I think HubSpot is a great example of there's like direct integrations of like when a marketing qualified leads becomes a sales qualified lead or a sales qualified lead becomes an opportunity, we can send that as a conversion to LinkedIn to indicate that, okay, like this is kind of going along the journey and we're actually getting to like a place where we can actually get some revenue out of these clicks. I think those are some of the things is like audience quality, conversion data quality, but then the main thing is everything outside of LinkedIn as well. And this is a generalist marketer talking. So I'm a really kind of, a V-shaped or whatever you want to call it, T-shaped,
T-shaped,
um, T-shaped marketer.
U-shaped, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, totally
yeah,
agree. Like we're both really broad as well, and that completely makes sense because you've got your LinkedIn absolutely nailed. You're getting the right content to the right people. You're driving to the website, and then it's just not optimized, right? And you're losing them
yeah,
on the website. So it's the whole picture stuff, and I think that's going to become a lot more prevalent now. We have spoken to people about specific channels, and their answer does seem to be like it has to work with every other channel. It's a puzzle piece,
yeah.
part of this whole puzzle, and that that's definitely become more of a thing, especially in B2B with so many different touch points. So yeah, I think it makes total sense to me.
I would also think that how you talk about your brand as well on LinkedIn has to match the website. And I know some people go off on a tangent and they get to the website and the messaging is totally different and it's just not a good fit. And it's interesting what you said then, because people do look at ads and they look at Meta ads and Google ads as their own entity, and they're part of a bigger, like you said, welded into the marketing funnel, the part of
Exactly.
something bigger, not just a standalone thing. And I think people kind of sometimes forget that as well. So that's really
Yeah.
interesting point you raised there.
Yeah, my key
And I think,
takeaway then is
yeah,
just don't think about it in silo. Just think about it like it's going to enhance every other area of your marketing. That's
exactly.
yeah.
I think where that kind of thing and that kind of like ideology is so kind of prevalent in LinkedIn marketers, especially, is because we are dealing with so long kind of sales cycles, and it might be like a super long lead time for a lot of the companies. Like I have some customers. I work with some customers where there's like, okay, we have like our customers are in the market once every 10 years because the contracts are like 10-year contracts or 8-year contracts, or so it's so much more important to be kind of prevalent throughout that journey rather than getting that, like I think TikTok is the kind of polar opposite. It's like you get that, you sell that, there you can sell those like fidget poppers
Yeah,
for like
he's not trying
one
to.
click. Yeah, it's like super quick kind of no thought about sale compared to that kind of super long cycle. So I think that's why when I talked with LinkedIn marketers, with other LinkedIn marketers and in-house and agency both, I think that's why they kind of think. But it's super hard to sell that sometimes inside the companies. I think that's why it's super important to get those early wins and also kind of have proper attribution software set up, have kind of proper ways to report the value of the channel. Because if it takes 6 months or 12 months to get something out of it, but you stop after 4 months, then
Yeah,
it's really kind of poor result overall.
course. And people on these 10-year cycles, you've mentioned earlier, like, with Google Ads, you can find those high intent keywords, and they would go onto Google, they would type this in, but there's no way of knowing really on LinkedIn that this 10-year cycle is coming to an end unless you integrate it with everything else, like you've said, and really kind of get those intent signals nailed on. So, yeah, a really powerful platform, but obviously, gotta think about it as a bigger picture thing.
Sure.
So, so do you see kind of longevity in LinkedIn? Is it here to stay? Do you see the current tactics that are being used now working in the future? And I'm just going to throw in my little favourite curveball. How do you think AI is going to play a part in any of this? Let's take that as a separate question. I think you can answer it separately. But,
sure.
Things there.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm gonna put those as two, because I think don't get me started on
AI. I think it's a good question.
Yeah. I think LinkedIn is 100% here to stay. Of course, it's owned by Microsoft, and there's a lot of integration between different channels, and it's just the kind of no other platform has that volume and that depth of B2B knowledge, like B2B information. Just like, because we give LinkedIn everything. If we go in LinkedIn, like we give like the whole history, who we worked with, who are our kind of contacts, what our skills are, what our interests are. We give so much information. Like I can't see any other like B2B advertisement platform getting anywhere near LinkedIn in the near future, or even the kind of longer future. So I think in that sense, I think there's a lot of longevity in LinkedIn. They are developing a lot now. It was very stagnant for a long time. Like there wasn't a lot of development, but now they're really pushing. I think Microsoft has realized that, okay, we can get a lot of money out of the platform. So they're actually doing a lot of good stuff there. I think when it comes to like kind of tactics have the longevity on the platform, and I think those are of course they're gonna change. They're gonna be really quick to change. I think the thought leader ads is a very prime example of that. Like a new ad format basically transformed like the best practice or the kind of best performer thing on the platform, but it doesn't change the fundamentals. Like the fundamentals are always going to be there. It's like the right people at the right time with the right message, providing value. Like those are never going to change. So in that sense, it's a very kind of has a lot of longevity in that sense. Then the AI AI thing, if I can answer that, I have to comment on this because I've been very vocal about AI on LinkedIn, and I think right now we are going in a very poor direction with how LinkedIn is doing AI. There's these, you've probably seen them, and everybody who is listening, you've probably seen those like AI prompts, like you have been selected as the expert on, headphones. Like please write, and it's just filling the feed with a lot of kind of garbage, and then you get those community something badges, like community expert on Google Ads or community expert on this and that, and it's just about commenting. So I think that's kind of a really poor thing in that sense. And I have to comment also that AI, in a sense, like machine learning sense, like the algorithm of LinkedIn is very far from Meta or Google, and that's one of the things that is super important to understand if you're doing LinkedIn advertisement, is that their algorithm isn't as capable of understanding. Like I always say that LinkedIn doesn't understand conversion data, like at all. Like maybe some company that has like 500,000 leads every month, maybe then you get some kind of conversion kind of optimization happening. But other than that, I think LinkedIn really doesn't understand conversion data. And I think that's where a lot of marketers go wrong, is that they hop from Google, which is all about conversion data nowadays. They hopped into LinkedIn and they're like, okay, like I want to use this maximize conversion campaign and then set the conversion. And then it's like, why is it showing the ads to completely kind of outside of my ideal profile? It's like, because it doesn't understand that. So yeah, I think AI is going to play a big role in LinkedIn as it has done for a really long time. I think currently it's going in a little bit of a wrong direction in a sense that it's flooding kind of low quality content into the platform. That's of course that will of course mean more spots for advertisement, but lower engagement on the platform overall, like worse engagement. So I think it's kind of a 50-50 on that.
Because obviously there's bots as well, which you see, and I saw someone post the other day, and like some bot had left the same comments 7 times from like different people and stuff, and I believe
Yes.
I believe that's a thing, and maybe at some point it's just be bots talking to bots, but you know, definitely there's some people who use the platform correctly, you know, and if they are, but and again, just those conversions aren't as cut and dry because, random example, I actually got some butter. I'd seen, I think it was Max Hoppy maybe had like posted about it, just a picture of some butter, saying it's really good, all things butter maybe. I went out and bought it, but I didn't comment and be like, "Oh, I've just bought this butter," or like go back and find that post and stuff. So there's stuff you are putting out there, like it adds value and it does lead to those conversions. It's just not always as easy to measure it, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, thoughts on your AI, Rob, before we get onto your big finale.
No, I'll get going on AI. I'll be here for an hour.
Yeah, cool. Right, so big final thing. And Rob always feels bad asking, especially when we've had so much value. I think I've got my golden nugget already. I mentioned that earlier, but what Rob likes to do at the end of the show is do his little golden nugget tip. Do you have your drumsticks?
I do.
Yeah, so Rob will do a little drum roll to introduce himself. Used to do this with his fingers, but it was really poor, so I bought him these drumsticks.
I'm going to try a different.
Ooh, okay. So
I've never tried this before, so it might not work.
So you have to rate this out of 10 as well. We get every guest to do this.
All right.
So
I used to be a drummer, so I'm gonna critique this.
I might not. I might stick to the. I was going to try something a bit different.
No, do it. No, actually, you have to add some flex. If you keep.
I don't know if it.
No.
Oh, that's really good.
That was pretty good. And what do you rate that?
Yeah. That was on beat. That was on beat.
Ooh. High praise. Out of 10. 7, 6, 4.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
I actually enjoy. I would give you probably an 8 or a 9 because I like the. Yeah, it was good. Anyway, enough about that.
I
Rob.
changed it up a bit. Yeah, it flowed a bit better that. Anyway, we're off on a tangent. My drumming skills.
Golden nugget.
Used to be my fingers, so we are progressing. Right, so my Rob's golden nugget tip. If you could go back in time with one piece of advice that you'd give yourself about LinkedIn ads, what would it be?
That was I was thinking about this, and I think actually it's a super easy one. It's invest more time talking to sales and product owners. Like that's 100% it. It's talking to sales, because I find that sales, they have all of the information that marketers need to be successful on LinkedIn. They just need to be asking the right questions. Mm-hmm. Like it's all about like who's buying, who's not buying, what things are actually driving, the sale home, and it's like what is something that is completely like the customer doesn't care. It's I think sales is the thing. It's and product owners, but I think sales especially, because of course they are so driven to make the sale, so they have a lot of that kind of silent information, and also in my experience they don't often kind of share it. Like you have to go and ask for it.
And even like the blockers and stuff as well, right? You could maybe let's say like it always gets so far, and then finance steps in. You could give them a sheet on a really crude example like LinkedIn and just say how to get buy-in from your finance department to buy X product, and then they've already got that stage ticked off before they've come to you. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's
Rob, are you happy with that?
Yeah, and I think like you've mentioned, like not just siloing LinkedIn's and thing. Again, it's the same thing. And people forget this. It's going to talk to the salespeople. What queries do they have? What issues? I think we've talked about this in a previous episode. But it is so obvious. But I don't think it's done enough. And I think it's great that you brought it back up as a golden nugget tip. Because I wouldn't have thought you'd have said that. And it's a great tip. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and I think it's also like creating that continuous feedback loop to sales and marketing. It's like we tested this and did it work and did it not work, and then talk to sales and then verify like does that make sense, and also keep feeding information about like who we are actually showing the ads to, because that's because you of course you have to offer sales value as well. It can't be like it often does, because salespeople, they don't really want to spend their time talking to marketing because that's not generating sales and that's out of their commissions if they're commission based. So it's you have to generate value to them. So LinkedIn has a lot of good tools to pull like the most engaged company data. For example, if you're using company list targeting, you can pull like which companies have engaged the most, and then maybe sales can do outbound actions, and then kind of feeding into that as well. It's like getting more value from outbound sales actions as well. So I think that's the thing. But yeah, talk to your salespeople.
Every other Friday, just buy a box of donuts and lure them over and just say, whoa, you have to give me some
Yes.
thoughts for these. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that.
Bribery works always. I think that's the golden nugget as well.
Because the only time they come to talk to me out of choice is when they want more leads. So yeah, if you want some value, got to bribe them. That's the best way. So, but no, really love that tip. Do you know, I've loved every single tip you've given actually during this episode.
Yeah.
It's been really
nice to hear.
I've got tons of value. I know our audience will get tons of value. But just to finish off, let's say someone's got to this point, they're listening, and they want to learn more from you, get more of these tips out of you. Where can they find you online? How can they continue learning from you?
Yeah, surprise, surprise, LinkedIn. That's really the place where I interact nowadays. I try to be as active as possible. I write everything about marketing in general, like strategy, but then a lot about advertisement and data uses and analytics and stuff. So you can contact me and connect on LinkedIn. And if you have some specific LinkedIn advertisement related query, don't be afraid to shoot a DM. I really like those one-on-one sparring as well. I think I learn a lot from those as well. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, inbox is open.
Cool. Yeah, good to hear. Always good when, as you said at the very start, like when you don't mind giving your best advice away, and I think we've had it all. So yeah, if you've got any more questions, please do go find Otso online. If not, just take the time to give us a 5-star rating, share us, do all that business. But from us, that's it. Thanks again so much for coming on, and we'll see you all in the next one. Unless you want to say goodbye, Rob.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've written loads and loads of notes on my sheet of paper from you. So yeah, it's been really insightful. I can't wait to listen back to it. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Happy to be a part of your podcast.
Lovely. Right, see you all next time. Thanks.